right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to JNUC 2022. We're so happy that you've joined us for this session today, Zero Trust with BeyondCorp from Google Cloud. In this session, you're going to be hearing from Jamf, as well as Jamf's alliance partner, Google, around integrations that we've built between our two organizations to increase the security for workers, employees, wherever they are on whatever device they're on. My name is Sam Weiss, and I'm really excited to be leading this conversation today. And as I mentioned, we're joined by both Google and Jamf. So Prashant, would you mind introducing yourself?
Thank you, Sam. Hey, everyone. My name is Prashant Jain. I am product manager at Google, responsible for BeyondCorp alliances. Excited to be here.
And I'm Travis Senor, Senior Product Manager for Jamf Pro. And so I am heavily involved around the integrations and excited to talk about this topic with you all today.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us. As a quick reminder to everyone joining us virtually, we are live in the chat answering questions, so we'd love to hear from you. And in terms of what we're going to talk about today, this is a really exciting session. In our Zero Trust with BeyondCorp from Google Cloud session, we're going to talk about why Zero Trust is important. We're going to talk about the definition of Zero Trust. What does Google think it is? What does Jamf think it is? And where do we align? We're going to talk about BeyondCorp and what that is from Google. And then we're going to move on to Jamf's security telemetry and how Jamf's information about devices and their posture really power the Fabric ecosystem of partners such as Google. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit specifically about that Jamf Pro integration, how it works today, as well as what we're thinking about for the future. So again, thank you for joining us. Prashant, do you want to talk a little bit about Zero Trust, and then we'll dive into some stats on hybrid work?
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Sam. And that's a very appropriate start. Why zero trust and what is zero trust, right? Because there are as many definitions of zero trust as the number of people you would ask that for. But zero trust at its core is trust nothing, verify everything. The idea of implicit trust in any single component of a complex interconnected system creates significant, existential even security risk. Instead, trust needs to be established via multiple mechanisms and then continuously verified. We all know zero trust is one of the biggest trends in cybersecurity today, with analyst firm Gartner predicting that by next year, 60% of the organizations will have moved towards a zero trust security model. The US federal government has also embraced zero trust. President Joe Biden signed an executive order in May 2021 mandating that federal government must adopt security best practices and advance towards zero trust architecture. So with that, let's dig into some of the reasons and the criteria and how we implement zero trust. Right. So starting with hybrid work, right? The way we work has shifted, and we know that hybrid work is here to stay. More and more people are working outside of the offices and most likely will continue to do so for foreseeable future. This transition to hybrid work, where some employees are on site, others working from home, can be a huge challenge and needs an intentionally secure security best practices, and it is becoming challenge for a majority of the organizations. There are of course security implications for this new way of working as well. We are seeing rise in attacks as more and more people working outside of the corporate boundaries. So let's look at some of the drivers for zero trust. Why zero trust is critical today more than ever before? It is the need is fueled by work from anywhere, BYOD, growing ransomware threat, ransomware as a service. But all of these are still just a tip of an iceberg. Critical realization here is that legacy security framework is not suitable for the new paradigm. When it comes to securing users, organizations today struggle to protect their extended workforce, whether they are contractors, vendors, temporary or seasonal workers, partners, and so on and so forth. Not surprisingly, we have seen a surge in security incidents targeting these end users and their devices. Many breaches frequently occur due to giving too much privileged access to third parties. Third parties and extended workforce, unfortunately, often are more vulnerable to attacks. and they are more susceptible to leaking corporate information. And many organizations don't properly access the security practices of the third parties before granting them the access. And even if that access was evaluated a point in time, it is not continuously monitored. Not to mention, many times this group of workers are using personal or unmanaged devices, and primary organization is unable to control or enforce the appropriate security measures. This brings us to what are the recommended approaches to zero trust. So, from perspective of what are the basic requirements for this new paradigm, right? It is eliminating privileged networks. It centers on having a deeper context on users and devices, and then enforcing continuous authorization. But what does all of this means? Zero trust requires us to rethink security controls, eliminate privileged access based on network perimeter, take user and device context into account for each request, not just one time. A zero trust approach should ensure requests and for accesses are evaluated real time, continuously at per request level against the policies, and ensure that users are and they remain authorized even during the same session. Let me ask Travis, like, how does it resonate how Jamf is approaching these problems?
Yes. So zero trust isn't a new concept, right? And there are similarities across all solutions. Jamf is uniquely positioned to ensure that only trusted users on sanctioned or managed and safe, risk free devices can access work resources. Identifying whether a device is risk free occurs before the device accesses the internal network and continues to detect threats and suspicious activity while on the network. And last but not least, Jamf can span across all on prem and cloud apps, not limited to a specific vendor or IDP. Now, that said, Jamf understands how critical it is to have the capabilities to integrate with an organization's ecosystem, which is why our solutions also extend to partner integrations like BeyondCorp Enterprise Conditional Access Integration, for example, to complement their approach. There's going to be more on this topic later on in our discussion as well, but for now, back to you, Prashant.
Sounds good. Thank you, Travis. All right. So, some of you might be familiar with BeyondCorp, that is Google's own implementation of zero trust. This model allowed Google to shift access controls from network perimeter to individual users and devices, thereby allowing the entire workforce to work more securely from any location and limiting access to only the apps and resources a individual worker needs, rather than granting them full access to the network. This was designed to increase security while still making users that remain productive. We took all of these learnings and built an offering that organizations can now use, BeyondCorp Enterprise. It is built on Google's network and provides customers with simple, secure, and reliable access to applications and cloud resources with integrated threat and data protection. Our product is differentiated for two reasons. One is ease of deployment, given it is delivered through Chrome browser, so it supports both managed and unmanaged devices. And two, with integrated threat and data protection capabilities, so we can protect a range of users and devices across the workforce. So let's dig into the details and a quick overview of the product. It's a complicated diagram, but let me break it out for you. So here is how it works. If you start from the left side of the screen, it gives users, it doesn't matter whether these users are full-time employees, contractors, vendors, etc., a secure access to applications and resources. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, these could be web-based apps, these could be SaaS apps, or even thick clients hosted in Google Cloud or third-party clouds, or even on-prem. So let's start back from the left again. The simple and scale piece is our agentless approach, as I mentioned. There is no additional software needed. BC is delivered through Chrome browser, which supports more than 2 billion users worldwide. And because we use the browser, we can support it on Windows, Mac, Linux, Chrome OS, and so on and so forth. And this makes deployment as well as adoption extremely easy for administrators and end users. Cloud managed profiles means we can secure not just the managed devices, but also unmanaged devices with Chrome profiles, and this is the key to unlocking the extended workforce use case. We can also extend the threat and data protection to contractors, remote or hybrid employees, even if they are using unmanaged or BYOD devices. In the middle of the screen, you see BC is built on the backbone of Google Network. So customers can take advantage of our scale, infrastructure, and integrated DDoS protection. And they can work reliably from anywhere. With more than 140 edge locations and availability in more than 200 countries and territories, your experience will be same if you are logging from South Bay or South Africa. The Google Cloud protect and proxies the traffic from our users and allow customers to enforce context-aware policies to authorize access. Policies can be determined and configured by customers based on granular attributes such as user roles, device information, whether they're using 2FA or not, geolocation, time date, and so on and so forth. But also from our partner intelligence and the signals that they may want to include as part of their granular context aware policies. And that's a good segue into how the zero trust is enforced. As I mentioned, the zero trust our strategy is built holistically around device, user, and security context, ensuring that appropriate users have access to the resources they need and ensuring those resources stay protected. Context aware policies allow customers to get access to workspace apps or private applications and data based on both user and device context. In addition to the native user and device information, organizations can also incorporate signals from other technology vendors such as Jamf. Customers can get access based on very granular device and user context. You see some examples on the screen, right? And you can set up the policies in with one or more of the signals working alongside with each other, as well as using partner signals with that. So let's go to the next slide. We discussed the different ways Google security information and intelligence is incorporated to keep our customers and users safe. But I also want to spend some time on the broader ecosystem and how BeyondCorp is democratizing zero trust. We really see BeyondCorp as a platform than just a product. As we know, customers don't operate with one vendor world, so we are pleased to enable customers to leverage their existing investments and share signal information from member of the BeyondCorp alliances in the environment to enable policies and make access decisions with the partner posture information alongside with BeyondCorp posture information. Through our partnership with Jamf, we are actively addressing the need for increased security and access management and keeping your entire workforce safe and delivering our promise on zero trust vision. So with that, let me hand it over to Sam, who is going to go into this integration and the details.
Thanks, Prashant. As mentioned, Jamf is really excited to be a BeyondCorp Alliance partner. Anyone that's been using Jamf for any amount of time knows what incredible telemetry Jamf has about the device, speaking to the security of the device as well as the user. And so we're really excited that Google, from their BeyondCorp ecosystem, is looking to integrate that data, allow our users to feed those context signals directly into Google so that they can make those context-aware access rules that really fit their environment. This does allow the best of both worlds, allowing the best of breed MDM tools from Jamf to power the security of those devices, and then taking that data and shipping it to Google for enhanced security as it pertains to the user, the session, and the application that they're looking to access. Travis is going to talk a little bit more about how this works and how, kind of as Prashant mentioned, Jamf thinks a little bit broadly about our security telemetry and how we can power broad ecosystems, including BeyondCorp. And then we're going to talk specifically about how this integration works for Mac, and we'll talk a little bit about iOS after that.
Yeah, so in terms of Jamf security telemetry, Jamf's management product, specifically with Jamf Pro, offers a breadth of knowledge about a device or already, and is very much a window into the security of that device and its health. At Jamf, we're identifying new and unique ways to leverage a device's inventory data to enable and power the broad ecosystems to ensure the device is managed and secure. Today, Jamf captures this data via Apple MDM spec or through our own agent-based technology. But just device management is not enough. In fact, network and macOS security frameworks take this further than ever before. So Jamf has taken this a step further, using device inventory data to determine compliance and using network traffic to scan over all risks. This being done while still preserving user privacy. There's a number of methods used to detect threats. That's used through compliance policies, overall risk scores of potential threats, or extending Jamf by leveraging our robust APIs to integrate with your existing SIM or SOARs so that organizations can use those tools for security intelligence. Or the powerful partner integrations from Apple, Microsoft conditional access workflows, and the Google BeyondCorp conditional access integration. Whichever path you choose, once a device is deemed risk-free, it can access work resources. Also, important to note that Jamf continues the compliance state and threat detection throughout internal network access as well, ensuring the device maintains its risk-free, managed, and secure status. If not, then proper remediation then occurs. Jamf has just started on this journey with Google and beyond, and there's a great potential for a deeper integration with Jamf security telemetry. So what does this look like today between Jamf and BeyondCorp Enterprise? So this diagram of the Jamf Pro and the BeyondCorp Enterprise integration starts from the left, and then kind of the end state is as we move more to the right. Looking at the user trust first, this is where the registration happens using the Google Chrome and the endpoint verification extension. Upon registration, Google Cloud then knows about the user identity and the device data and its compliance state. Jamf Pro determines compliance calculation via the Jamf Pro Smart Group criteria. And that's where we're looking at the device trust down below there. This data is then pushed to what's represented in the global front end and where the Jamf data telemetry really occurs. Next, Access Context Manager reads the targeted device data criteria for compliance, and the BeyondCorp Enterprise Context-Aware policies are created to determine whether or not access to work resources are granted or revoked. Again, the goal here is to ensure the user and the device are risk-free and compliant to receive access to those company resources. So what do the Pro bits look like specifically? Yeah, so diving into the Jamf Pro and the Google BeyondCorp integration bits a little bit further, this is the core Pro pieces is leveraging the flexible compliance framework of Jamf Pro Smart Groups. Again, this is where device inventory data really comes into play, and that we can leverage that data to target specific criteria for the smart groups. There's two smart groups that are getting created. There's the applicable smart group, which is Jamf sending lists of targeted devices to the Google admin, Google Cloud platform to inform them of the devices that we should be targeting for the compliance policies. The other piece for that is when around the registration of the device. Again, this occurs on the client side using the Chrome extensions. And then upon user authentication, both the user and the device information is also sent into the Google admin portal. And then the device compliance is continuously reporting to the Google admin. So this is real-time frequency and occurring. So if there's any change in state between compliance on the device, Jamf Pro is notifying Google right away on the status of that device, whether it's compliant or not compliant. And then again, the context-aware access policy enforces those access level to ensure the end users are either receiving access or getting access revoked from their work resources, depending on the compliance state. Next Sam's going to be talking a little bit about a user use case and how this can be utilized.
Thanks, Travis. As we look at the user journey of an organization that is leveraging Jamf Pro, leveraging BeyondCorp, this diagram here represents, again, on the far left, a user that is looking to access one of their critical work applications, Google Drive. This particular organization has determined that to access Google Drive, your computer must be file vault encrypted. So what the diagram here is showing is Jamf Pro is fully aware of the file vault status of this machine. Jamf Pro is taking that and based on that smart group, reporting that compliance information to Google. When that user tries to log in, context-aware access policies will determine if that device meets our definition of zero trust, in addition to both the user as well as the network security that's built into BeyondCorp. So in a perfect world, this user is file vault enabled, and they are able to access the resources without a problem. If a user is not compliant, specific messaging can be sent to that user, letting them know what remediation steps would look like. But this is a very common example, and when we're talking about the power of the Google ecosystem integrated with Jamf Pro, it's a really great example that shows how all of these components work together. All right, now that we've talked about what this integration does, why it's valuable, let's take a look at how to actually set up BeyondCorp with Jamf Pro. And to do this, we're going to start in the Google Admin Console. Many of you might be familiar with this, but if you navigate to Devices, Mobile and Endpoints, Settings, and then third-party integrations, you'll see where you can actually turn on Security Partners. You'll see Jamf is a button on the screen, and when you click that, you'll generate a customer ID. Now, this customer ID is then copied and put into Jamf Pro. Now, this is what's going to start that communication between Jamf Pro and BeyondCorp. You can also see that we've already created our applicable and our compliant policies. You do have to remember to check the box and click Save in the Google Admin Console. And after you've done all those things, at this point, you've correctly and securely established a connection between Jamf and BeyondCorp. Now, you can see on this screen, this is where you need to either create context-aware access policies and then apply them. Now, in the example that we're going to show, Google Keep is the application that we're going to put behind a context-aware access policy. And you can see that we've successfully done that, and it's looking at Jamf management data. Now, in just a second, we're going to flip to the user experience. You will see a user, or actually before we even go there, on a device record, you will see that there is this third-party services section. And at the bottom, you will see your Jamf compliance data. Now, taking a look at the user demo, we're first going to start with a user that is not compliant. And again, as Travis said, compliance means whatever it means to your organization. Maybe that's file vault, maybe that's security applications being on device, but that's all customizable. Now, when this user attempts to open Google Keep, you will notice that they are met with a prohibitory sign. You do not have access. Now, Google has allowed the ability to put customized messaging so that you can be very explicit to your users on what needs to happen next. But that is an example of access denied. Now, let's take a look at the same user after remediation. So let's say File Vault was our requirement. Now that this computer is fully File Vault enabled and the key is escrowed, we're able to get into Google Keep without any issues. And you can see a compliance state of true, as well as that custom data from Jamf below. So again, that's just a really quick demo of both the admin setup experience as well as the end user experience for a resource that they are able to access, as well as a resource that they are prohibited from accessing based on their compliance status.
So we just talked through the macOS side of things for the integration between BeyondCorp Enterprise and Jamf Pro. And I got to say, I'm excited to share that we are looking to bring iOS and iPadOS support with this integration in the near future as well. The registration experience may look a little different. as on the macOS side of things, the Chrome extensions is not supported in the iOS. And so we will be leveraging Jamf self-service app to bring that registration and device registration, I should say, into the Google Cloud platform. This is kind of the next evolution of this integration, providing full Apple platform coverage, which again, couldn't be more excited about. As far as targeting general availability, this will be available in 2023. So definitely feel free to reach out if there's any additional questions on that as well. But I do turn it over to Prashant for any quick questions or comments on that.
Thank you, Travis. I want to first comment on how seamless the demo was. This is fast because it took just a few clicks, and that shows the power of the seamless experience for not just the administrators, but also for the end users. And there is rich set of tools for helping either persona if their need arises. And integration work the same with our broader ecosystem, whether their partner is EDR, XDR, identity provider, MDMs, and so on. Each partner integrates the same way into the BCE platform. When the integration for Jamf was announced, there was a lot of excitement in our field because customers have been asking for that. And we have seen a strong adoption of the macOS integration. And as expected, now we are starting to hear about the support for mobile. So I'm also excited that that is coming, and the roadmap is really full. And looking forward to these features coming to fruition in next few quarters.
Awesome.
Back to you,
Thank
Sam.
you both. Yeah, thanks, Prashant. As we wrap up this session, we've been talking about Google BeyondCorp and our ability to offer an elevated security experience for Google customers. But outside of BeyondCorp, Jamf is a very great strategic choice that Google Cloud and Google Workspace customers can make. When it comes to getting the most out of your Google ecosystem on Apple hardware, you can't go better than Jamf when we're thinking about deployment of applications, identity management with Google Identity, or enhanced security between Google, BeyondCorp, and Apple devices. Jamf is really the connective tissue that makes those devices work in your ecosystem of choice, which for many of you attending this session is likely Google. When we think about our ability to meld these ecosystems, we think about both corporate-owned devices as well as those user-enrolled BYOD devices. So again, as Prashant mentioned, zero trust is important regardless of the device type or ownership model, and Jamf is really excited to offer capabilities on both. And Jamf helps Google organizations scale in incredible ways, regardless if you're an education institution, a small to medium business, a mid-market organization, or a large enterprise customer. The offerings between Google and Jamf can help your admins scale your device deployments the way that they need to, and can help your users accept and adopt those tools without sacrificing security or end user experience. If you'd like to know more about what Jamf and Google can do together, check out jamf.com/integration/Google. And Prashant, if people want to know more about BeyondCorp Enterprise, where should they look?
So definitely go to BeyondCorp Enterprise on Google Cloud. The how to onboard them, the capabilities that are there, as well as how the integrations and the partners, everything is out there on the Google Cloud BeyondCorp portal.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank everyone so much. It's been a really great conversation today with Google. Prashant, thank you so much for joining. Travis, appreciate your leadership in pushing Jamf forward when it comes to third-party integrations. Hope everyone learned something in this session. And again, we are in the chat, so if you got questions, we'd love to provide answers. And if you are in person at JNUC, you can come find us. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time, and have a great rest of your JNUC.